afternoon. It is Thursday. It is 3:08, and welcome to another episode of the Tom Marino Show. That's right, folks. It's time for you to be adrenalized. Get that blood flowing and get re-energized. Why? Because you're here, you're alive, and it's time to be motivated to be your best self. Make the changes that you've been desiring to make. But if you're not sure, reach out to me and I'll help you with that. We are here in the studio today. We are live. Like I said, it is now 3:08 in the afternoon on Thursday, April 28th. I'm living in the past a little bit. I'm Tom Marino, Success Strategy Coach. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I want to hear from you. So give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. And you can visit me at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. And just a quick shout out to our sponsor, New House Restoration, where they turn your damaged old house into a new house. Visit them at newhouserestoration.com. That's newhouserestoration.com. If you had a fire, flood, sewer backup, or asbestos issues, then contact New House Restoration. Call them at 631-801-7953. That's 631-801-7953. All right, we are live, so give me a call, 631-451-1039. And today, we're going to speak about a topic that has been a major core issue for many of my clients, especially this week, and that is the issue of self-confidence. So today we're going to talk about self-confidence. We're going to get into imposter syndrome. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I am solo today in the studio. No guest this week. Sorry for that. But I will have a lot of guests coming up in the next 4 weeks. We have a lot of people lined up, a lot of great people that'll be joining the show to talk about their businesses, talk about their challenges, their struggles. And I invite you to tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. on 103.9 LI News Radio. And listen, if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. Or, you could also get linked up with LI News Radio on Instagram and Twitter. Long Island News Radio on Instagram and Twitter. We do a lot of community sharing here. We're always tagging each other, and you'll never miss anything if you're following us. That's for sure. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about self-confidence. And, a lot of my clients have some self-confidence issues. And it's really an interesting place where it originates and why people aren't confident in themselves. And, it's partly due that a larger part of your life, you've been influenced by what other people, typically the naysayers are talking to you about your confidence and bringing you down. And it really, if you take in all of that negative energy, if you take in that negative feedback, if you take in anything that's really negative from people that are trying to tear you down, it'll create a lot of self-doubt in yourself if you don't have a good hold on your self-confidence. And self-confidence issues manifest in a variety of ways, okay? Someone doesn't feel like they have skills, therefore they're not confident. Someone feels like they lack good judgment, therefore they don't trust themselves, and therefore they're not confident. Someone doesn't believe that they're experts, and therefore they suffer from this imposter syndrome. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Someone doesn't believe that they are capable, and so on, and so on, and so on, and they doubt themselves, and they don't feel that they are valuable, they don't feel that they're worth anything, and their confidence suffers along the way. They're just not confident. So I'm working with a client specifically right now, and we've been going actually back and forth all day about some of the things coming into his head, and now he's answering his own questions. He's like, why do I always surround myself by negative people? Why do I always surround myself with people who don't build me up? Why do I surround myself with different experts in my field, my industry, that are not really supporting me? And he says, I know why, because I don't support myself. I don't value myself. I don't have confidence in myself. I don't trust myself. And this is the inner dialogue that he's having and we're talking about, but it's the inner dialogue. It's the inner battle. So if you're listening to me right now and you're someone who's having that inner monologue, right? You're going back and forth in that monologue, in that inner monologue, and you're talking to yourself and saying, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why am I not surrounded by better people? Why am I not having better success? And the answer is do you believe that in yourself? Do you trust yourself to achieve that success? If you're struggling with this, give me a call, 631-451-1039 right now. That's 631-451-1039. And he started his own business recently, and when he went to decide what price points he was going to charge his clients and his customers, he really struggled with that because he doesn't value himself. He has the skills. He works out. He's got the image. He's got the look. He puts the effort in when it comes to working out and doing everything the right way. But he doesn't value himself because he's never been confident in himself. When you look at him, you would think he was more confident. But then when he acts a certain way, says a certain thing, you hear his lack of confidence. So in developing a new business, he is struggling with imposter syndrome. And I see this with a lot of new business owners, right? You set up your own business. You're like, okay, now I'm set up. This is what I want to do. And then you go to make that first sale. Or you have that first customer. Or you bring that first person in. And you go, okay, what am I going to charge this person? What am I going to provide as a what's my cost? What's my value? And a lot of times people will automatically devalue themselves. How many business owners out there right now were afraid to lose somebody new as a client, so you devalued yourself? It's because you didn't have the confidence. You didn't trust yourself to deliver. Is that true? Did you not trust yourself and feel that you would not deliver? So if you trust yourself, you'll deliver. You have the confidence to deliver. And you have to believe in your worth. And that's what it really takes, is believing in your worth. Okay? So listen, give us a call. We are live in the studio, 631-451-1039. I want to hear from you. Let's get into imposter syndrome quickly here before our break. So what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is a belief that you are not competent as others perceive you. It's a belief. It's an internal belief. It's in your head that you believe you are not as competent as what other people perceive around you. Do the people around you tell you how great you are, and yet you don't feel that way? When was the last time that someone said, wow, you really did a great job? And you were like, yeah, okay, it was good. It was fine. Do you feel like an imposter? Are you faking it? If you are surrounded by people that say you're great and you don't feel that way, you need to change that. That's a false belief. If you want other people to believe that you're great and awesome and competent and confident and all of these things, you have to believe it yourself. And I know that's easier said than done. It's always easier said than done. But if you really focus on what you think of yourself, creating beliefs about yourself, your confidence is going to change. It will change. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. This is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show. And we are live in the studio, so give us a call at 631-451-1039. If you are suffering from imposter syndrome, if you feel like you are being phony and fake, is it a confidence issue, or are you really phony and fake? All right, we'll talk to you right after this break. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Tom Marino. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Thursday on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, April 28th. We are live in the studio, so give us a call at 631-451-1039. Follow me on Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. And of course, follow LI News Radio on Instagram and Twitter. All right, today we are talking about imposter syndrome. We are speaking about, self-confidence and imposter syndrome. And, right before the break, I spoke about, what is imposter syndrome? And for those of you who are just tuning in, imposter syndrome is a belief that you're not competent as others perceive you. And it basically makes you feel like you're being a fake or a phony. And a lot of the times in my practice, I see people struggle with this because they lack self-confidence. Okay. I have struggled at times too with this. I've struggled with imposter syndrome. It's reared its ugly head a few times in my life. And the one time, or the multiple times actually, that I saw it pop up was when I was promoted in my day jobs. And when I was working in a healthcare organization, I got promoted from director to vice president, and now I sit at a chief level. It comes up as you grow in the corporate ladder, right? Sometimes you know you are good and you deserve to be promoted, but you don't always feel the confidence to be able to do that job. When you get into that position, when you get into that role, you sometimes feel like, how did I get here? Am I really this competent? Am I really this good? How many people right now are recently promoted out there? I want to ask that question. Call us in the studio, 631-451-1039, 631-451-1039. And if you were recently promoted, you may be feeling this right now. You may be saying, oh, I really wanted that promotion, but am I really good enough to do this job? We've all had that thought. There is not anyone that has ever said that I just got promoted and I don't know how I got here. A lot of people say that, but some people, even though you deserve it. And that's imposter syndrome, right? Somebody recognized in us that we had the capability and the competence to do the job, but our perception is that we don't have that. And that is a confidence issue. Our confidence wavers in situations. And, it's that when that wavers, when our confidence wavers, depending on the situation, we doubt ourselves. Sometimes even the people around us that want to see us fail, they'll support that feeling of being an imposter. Right? So being very aware of what influences us is really important in our self-confidence and understanding our self-confidence. And, our confidence issues present in a variety of numerous number of ways. For years, I've struggled with the right way to accept a compliment from people because I didn't always believe what others said to be true. Right? When you've gotten compliments, if you have a difficult time receiving a compliment, you sometimes can poo-poo it right there. You don't want to, you just let it go. You're like, nope, yeah, thank you, but no. It could be better. Yeah, right away you go into that self-deprecating talk. Accept the compliment. Learn how to accept the compliment, because when you do things like that, you destroy your confidence. And you also make the person feel bad that's giving you the compliment, that's recognizing you. So I've actually reformulated my response to how I take a compliment. I appreciate that, or I thank you for recognizing that in me. That's what I'll often say. I appreciate that, or I thank you for recognizing that in me. Because it's an appreciation. It's a moment to appreciate that you've been recognized by somebody else. That's the moment. A compliment is recognition that you've done something well. It's praise, it's admiration. It may communicate that you've demonstrated a proficiency at something. It communicates that you have achieved some kind of excellence. It's approval. If you struggle with confidence issues, then a compliment can make you feel uncomfortable. It can make you feel that you're not worthy of such recognition. And on the flip side, a compliment can validate the truth about ourselves that we don't always see, or that we choose not to see. It is the thing that can get in the way of celebrating ourselves. When we don't accept a compliment, when it's a truthful thing about ourselves, we have to choose to see the truth, the validity in that. If you're just tuning in, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and today we're talking about imposter syndrome and self-confidence. And if you are, if you've been recently promoted and you're having these feelings like, how did I get here? How am I going to do this job? Then give us a call at 631-451-1039, and let's work through your imposter syndrome. Competence and confidence have a relationship. If you're confident, you demonstrate a level of competence and even expertise, perhaps. But that doesn't always have to be true. But this is how some people think about being confident, is having a certain level of competence. But when it comes to imposter syndrome, competence and expertise are necessary to refute the imposter. So you have to be capable and competent and have expertise so that you don't feel like a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Some other signs of imposter syndrome are the inability to realistically assess your own competence and skills. You don't have a realistic understanding of your own skill, of your own competence. You attribute your success to external factors. You give over, I didn't really do that. It was, you want to support a team. I see this a lot too with leaders, and working with leaders. You want to encourage people. When you succeed on a project, you have to thank the team. And you have to support the team and the team effort. And yes, there's a lot of factors within that group that made that successful. But in private, you have to also recognize that it was you who led that team. It was you who brought that team and navigated that team to be successful. Don't, shy away from that. Say to yourself, this is true. This is who I am. This is what I do. And have the confidence to enjoy your success. Because if you're not confident about what you've just achieved, you lose that win. All of these things, fear, berating your performance, fear that you won't live up to expectations, overachieving, sabotaging your success, doubting yourself, setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you feel short. Those all support the imposter. So don't do any of those things. It's simple. I know it's easier said than done. But how do we change the belief that we are not as competent as others see us? Well, the first question I always say is to ask about your competence is it true? Are you competent or are you incompetent? Are you good at what you do? Do you get your work done, and do you get it done with the level of expertise and proficiency? Do you get it done well? Does it meet the satisfaction of the people you're handing that job to or that work to? The stickler saboteur pokes its head and drives perfection. And that's often plays on this belief of incompetence. We see ourselves as not achieving perfection, so therefore we're incompetent. But that's not true. The answer is no to that. We have to put perfectionism aside. We must recognize that the expertise is having more knowledge or information more than the next person. And when we don't have more expertise than someone else, take the opportunity to learn from it and appreciate that they've taught you something. All right, we're going to get into this a little bit more after the break. This is the Tom Marino Show. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about self-confidence and imposter syndrome. We'll be back after this break. Give us a call, 631-451-1039. We'll talk to you right after this.
If you feel like that's what you want to do, here come bad news, talking this and that.
Tom Marino here from the Tom. Hey, this is Tom Marino, the Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, New House Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. New House Restoration. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you for tuning back in. Today we are speaking about self-confidence and imposter syndrome and what that all means and how our self-confidence is really challenged every single day, and how, when we get into different roles in our life, into different situations, we become new business owners, self-confidence issues can arise because we can start to doubt ourselves and feel like we don't know who we are and what we're doing. So you're not confident in yourself. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and then you start to fail and bring all these things in that don't belong, and that just creates more doubt, and it's this vicious cycle. Before the break, I was talking about how in imposter syndrome, that stickler saboteur drives the perfection and is often at play when we feel this being an imposter and being fake and phony. We see ourselves as not having achieved perfection, so we're not competent, and that's what therefore doesn't make us real. But that's not true. We have to put the perfectionist aside. We have to recognize that expertise is having more knowledge or information, just a little bit more than the next person. That's what makes you an expert in something. When you have more information, more knowledge about a specific thing that someone else doesn't have expertise in, that makes you more of an expert. Take the opportunity when you feel like somebody else is an expert in something. Take that opportunity to learn. We're all experts in our own ways. We all have expertise in different areas. We all have different life experience that informs that expertise. So when someone shares something new, learn from that. Imposter syndrome stops us from moving forward and believing in ourselves. When times are tough, we feel like we don't know what we're doing. We have to be comfortable with the discomfort at that point. We have to admit that we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. We have to trust ourselves, and that's where the confidence comes in, to say, I don't have all the answers. I'm figuring it out. When I became a physician assistant, I was studying to be a physician assistant. I remember a lot of my professors would repeat this phrase over and over, that if you don't know something, ask the question. Don't pretend you know it, because you don't know what you don't know, and that can cost somebody their life. So if you're not sure, make sure that you ask the question. Have enough confidence to recognize that you don't know it. And that's where I think a lot of people fall short on this feeling of competence, and they get their self-confidence tied up in this is that when they don't know something, they feel like if they should know it, then they're not competent at something, or they lack the knowledge, and therefore they don't have the confidence to answer that. But confidence is how you respond to situations as much as having skill and knowledge and judgment and all of those other things that are involved in being confident. How you respond is the way of demonstrating the competence. Competence is a quality or state of having sufficient knowledge, judgment, skill, or strength. I recently had an article published on wellness.com where I discuss adrenalizing your self-confidence. And I want to share with you some part of that article because it speaks to the ways that we can improve our confidence. In the article, I posed this question: what impact has COVID and quarantine had on our self-confidence? Because I had come across a study that showed that during quarantine, there was an increased use of social media platforms, especially during the lockdown. And that increase led to an increased number of people reporting low self-esteem. The increase in social media use during lockdown was related to an increase in the number of people feeling that their self-esteem was very low. And it really comes down to comparison. And this is where a lot of my clients struggle with their confidence, is because they compare themselves to a lot of other people. And we have beautiful platforms that always make us compare ourselves to other people. And that's social media. So why do we compare ourselves to others? Why do we put our self-esteem, our self-confidence on what other people are doing and demonstrating? Do you believe that your self-confidence is in your control? You control the narrative on how confident you feel. In working with clients that struggle with confidence, I ask them to define what it means to them. And here's what I often hear. I hear that the confidence is knowing yourself. I hear it's being able to admit when you're wrong. And those are all true. It is knowing yourself. It is admitting when you're wrong. It's holding yourself accountable. It's being able to respond to a situation where you have to hold yourself accountable. And self-confidence is an awareness and an understanding of your abilities, your qualities, and even your judgment. It's essentially trusting yourself. If you're just tuning in, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and we're speaking today about self-confidence and imposter syndrome and all of these things that influence our confidence and help and really either help build our confidence or hurt us in building our confidence. So how do we adrenalize our self-confidence? Well, there's 5 steps that I talked about in the article. The first step is determine your locus of control. Now, I've mentioned locus of control in a variety of other situations where we talked about procrastination. I mentioned having an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. And basically, internal locus of control is we control things. External is that we let other things control us, right? We're influenced every day by all of this negativity around us in the world. There are so many different things: the war, inflation, lack of supplies in a lot of areas, social media, what's going on in people's lives, where are people succeeding, where are things happening for other people that aren't necessarily happening for us. And when you have a locus of control that's external, you're going to be influenced by all those things, and those things are going to deplete your confidence. You can't let those things deplete your confidence. If you have an internal locus of control, you celebrate other people's success. You have to celebrate other people's success. If you don't celebrate other people's success, you're not going to bring your own success. Don't be envious and jealous of somebody else that's succeeding. Use it as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to get there. Here's what I need to do to get there. Or reach out to that person and say, how did that happen for you? How did you achieve that success? But if you don't control it, if you don't recognize that you control how you feel, how are you going to improve your own confidence? How are you going to do that? When we have an external locus of control, we feel badly about ourselves when we see other people succeed and other things on social media that are influencing us in some way. We're competing. Don't compete, collaborate. The better way is collaboration. People who see their control as coming from within themselves understand they choose how they respond in situations, and that's what builds trust. And that's what builds trust in yourself, and that's what improves your self-confidence. People who have an external control surrender to the circumstances and give in. They go up, it's just not in the cards for me. Baloney. It is in the cards for you. You just have to change that. You have to change that perspective. So adrenalize your self-confidence. You got to be internally focused. You have to recognize that you control how you respond. You maintain your control when you do this. You always have control. Don't let other factors get in the way. You have to love yourself. And we're going to talk about loving yourself after this commercial break. So we are live in the studio. Give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. And hey, during the break, check out our sponsor's website, Newhouse Restoration, newhouserestoration.com. If you had fire, water, mold, or sewer backup in your house and you're having an issue and you just had your life changed dramatically, reach out to Newhouse Restoration at newhouserestoration.com. All right, we'll talk to you right after this break. Hey, this is Tom Marino of the Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, Newhouse Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. Newhouse Restoration.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. It is now 3:49. If we are live in the studio, please give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. We've been talking today about imposter syndrome and self-confidence. And right before the break, I talked about the importance of you recognizing you control what influences you. You control in how you receive that information. There was 4 other things that I mentioned in the article that was on wellness.com, and it's love yourself by staying true to your values, right? Part of building your self-confidence is knowing what you value, what you believe, right? What are values? They're beliefs that you have, right? You have to have beliefs that support your confidence. You have to love yourself for what you believe, what you value, because self-love is taking care of you. It's taking care of you. And if you discover what you value and what you believe, they become the pillars that you build your self-love upon. That's part of what you can build self-love upon. And when you love yourself, you present a confident self. When you don't love yourself, you don't present that confidence. And that is really a key point. You have to love yourself. You have to be happy with who you are. You have to know that you are great, that you are awesome, that you can do anything that you set your mind to do because you control it. When something negative happens, take the control back. You can't control every situation. You can't control what's going to happen necessarily, but you control how you respond to it. But you have to love yourself enough to try to control it. If you don't love yourself, you give over the control much faster. You lose the control. And we don't want you to lose the control. We want you to maintain the control. So the next thing is stop comparing yourself to others. Well, that's easier said than done. But I always tell clients, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And yesterday could be literally yesterday. It could be 6 months ago. It could be a year ago. Are you better than you were at that time? Are you moving forward? Learn from that. If you're not better, then work on it. Make the changes that need to take place. And if you are doing better, keep going. Keep going. But you have to stop comparing yourself to other people and creating this sense of, I'm not good enough because so-and-so is doing better and they do the same thing as me. Start to answer your questions. You have the answers to your own questions. The questions that you ask, just answer those questions with what you know you really should be answering it with. The only comparison we should be making is to ourselves. That's the only way that we move forward, is working on ourselves and worrying about ourselves. Celebrate other people's success. Comfort other people in their loss and their difficult time. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. It's easy. We're human. It's easy for us to become jealous. It's easy for us to say, oh man, I'm working so hard. Why aren't I achieving that? And the answer is because you're right where you're supposed to be right now. You'll eventually get there, but you have to believe that. You have to believe that you're going to get there. You know, just like I said before, if you just started a new job and you feel this imposter syndrome is setting in because you don't know how you got there and you're not sure you can do it, you have to believe you can do it because other people believed you could do it or they wouldn't have promoted you. You have to believe you can do it. If you don't believe it, you're not going to succeed. And you're going to wind up firing yourself from that job. Believe it. Believe you can do the job, do the work, right? What do I say all the time? Show up consistently, do the work, trust the process. You feel like an imposter right now? Believe that you can do the job. Do the work to prove that you can do the job to yourself. Prove that you are competent. Prove it to yourself. Don't prove it to anybody else. Prove it to yourself. Put a good product forward. But stop comparing yourself to other people. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Are you getting better? Okay. The fourth thing is in improving and adrenalizing your self-confidence, the fourth thing in adrenalizing your self-confidence is hold yourself accountable. We always think about accountability as being, well, if you do something wrong, you better hold yourself accountable. But you also own your accountability. Accountability is ownership. When you adrenalize your self-confidence, you own your successes and your failures. You own both. You own the good and the bad. That's what builds confidence, because you can trust yourself that when you succeed, you can celebrate, you can have a good time, you can own that success. When you don't do great, you can own that failure and improve. You don't have to say, oh, I was wrong. You could say I was wrong. I should have done this differently. You can reflect on it. But discern it. Don't judge it. Discern, not judge. Discern is, what's the facts? Where did we go wrong? What could we do better next time? But trust yourself to be able to respond that way. That will build the confidence in yourself. That will promote yourself in feeling better about how you see yourself. And when you see yourself as competent as everybody else sees you, then you'll have more self-confidence. Take responsibility, take ownership, hold yourself accountable for the good and the bad. That's where you control how you respond. When you screw up, you screw up. We're human. We make mistakes. Be more forgiving. This is where self-love comes in. Love yourself. Say to yourself, you're doing okay. You made a mistake. Now you can move on. I wake up every morning and I say, today is a day to do better. And I have the opportunity because I am here to do better. I have the opportunity to do better today. Let me take advantage of that. Not let me dwell on the mistakes I made yesterday. I have the opportunity to do better. The last thing is surround yourself with positive people. If you are with people who constantly tear you down instead of building you up, you got to let go of those people, because those people are preying on you to be the imposter, to be the fake, the phony, the fraud, the failure. A person who is externally controlling themselves, their locus of control is external, they surrender to the naysayers and consume that negative truth. You consume that negativity. Surround yourself with people who build you up and validate what you believe about yourself. Take their advice, take their wisdom. And when you meet a naysayer, heed the advice, but you can't let it impact you. Control how much you let it impact you. All right. So how do you adrenalize your self-confidence? Recognize that you control the narrative. Stop wasting time hating yourself and love yourself instead. There is no need to compare yourself to others. You are the only person that you should be comparing yourself, and compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Maintain your accountability and you will trust yourself more. Accountable in all situations, you trust yourself more. And lastly, surround yourself with positive influences. Be aware of what's influencing you. Be aware of that, but surround yourself with positive influences. We need people who build us up, not tear us down. And of course, reach out for help if you're struggling with this. If you feel that self-confidence, that imposter syndrome are holding you back from succeeding, contact me, Tom Marino, at tommarino.com or at Tom Marino Coaching on Instagram. I want to hear from you, and I want to help you overcome this. And I want you to be confident, because I want you to live adrenalized in your self-confidence. If you haven't done so already, follow me on Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. DM me radio if you want to stop your self-sabotage and get more done and be more decisive, and I will introduce you to a process to be adrenalized. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Thank you again to our sponsor, New House Restoration. That's newhouserestoration.com. And this is Tom Marino reminding you, until next week, choose your adrenalized life.
Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back.